am a coach. I work primarily with women who are struggling after certain experiences that they've had in their lives that are holding them back from really living a fabulous life and being as successful and as fulfilled as they want to be. I was focusing on my primary person I was focusing on is women who were unable to have children. That's how I got started myself. I am that woman. But I have expanded to just really more, I don't want to say, I guess general experiences that women have had in the past that are really just keeping them stuck in that past. And so it's kind of a really good segue into what we're talking about today, because I guess this topic was one that I thought about because most of the time when I go to networking events, I mean just in life in general, but I've seen hundreds of clients. I've been a coach for 13 years and I've seen hundreds of clients. So much of the time there is a story that is keeping them stuck in some way, okay? They are limiting themselves in their life. They're not as happy as they want to be. They're not as successful in their business. I thought this would be really a great topic because these stories hold people back all the time. So I'm sure you've heard like, you are what you think, right? These sayings, you are what you think. Oh wait.
That's okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
I was about to start at my time.
Let me start.
Okay.
If it's 12 minutes, it's 12 minutes. We have time today.
Yes. We're not running.
I didn't do it on purpose, Leah. But I love that saying. We are what we think. But also, Brene Brown has. Do you know who Brene Brown is? Most people do. No, these days, daring greatly, right? Like that's one of her big ones. One of her quotes is, "The most powerful stories are the ones we tell ourselves," which it's so true. I mean, what we tell ourselves, we're going to manifest. And in business, it means, just as in life, in business, it's just as powerful, the stories that we're telling ourselves. So I'm going to try to stick to the 10 minutes because even though we have some extra time today, we can use it for networking afterwards, right? But I think because we're all at different stages in our businesses, some may work for other businesses, but more than likely at some point in your journey, you have had some limiting thoughts, limiting stories, a narrative that isn't helping you progress. So the way we develop these stories is from past experiences. Maybe it's things that have happened to us. Maybe it's our family of origin. Maybe it's fears that come from different experiences that you've had. This one I think is very strong, but social conditioning, right? These stories come from all of that. And when we develop these stories from all of these experiences, they can be positive, which is great, but so much of the time, they're limiting. They're just not as positive as they could be. And so when we develop these negative stories, they absolutely shape the way we perceive ourselves, our capabilities, and our potential for success. So, just thinking about that from your business point of view, what's limiting you? You're going to see that I left a sheet on the table for each of you. You can bring it home. You don't have to go through it now. You can if you want, if you think of something. But these are some questions to go through and check in with yourself. I think, this is a really powerful exercise that you can do, every month if you want to. What is holding you back? But anyways, we're gonna get to that. So when you have these stories, they can become self-fulfilling prophecies. And again, it's really great if those stories are positive, but if they're limiting, if they're negative, then that's when we really need to check in, right? And start to reframe them. So just imagine having these stories, and I've had some of these. So imagine what this can do to your business. If you ever find yourself saying these things, I'm not good enough, I can't close a deal, I'm not the kind of person who succeeds, it's too late for me to have success like the way I want to, right? I mean, imagine what that's doing to your business, to how successful you can be. These are just stories. They are thoughts that are in your head, they're not facts. Okay, and that alone, if you can ask yourself, and there's a question on there like, are these absolute facts? What these stories that you're telling yourself? Most of the time, you're going to say no. They are not facts. Okay, so how do we work on that? Like, what do you do to just be aware and, you know, make sure that you're changing the narrative, which you mentioned the narrative, I thought, good. The first thing is awareness. Okay, so I've been a coach for 13 years. I have been in like caregiving. I was a physical therapist, a massage therapist, now a coach. And I have always had this issue with mindfulness. It's very hard for me to be still. So,
No.
but you don't have to get into formal 15 minutes a day mindfulness meditation to check in with yourself. You can take 2 minutes. You can ask yourself, what's the thought I'm having today? Why am I anxious? Check in with your body, right? What is the thought that I'm having in this moment? That thought is your perception of what's happening. 99%, it's not fact, okay? So we need to be aware. It's with anything. I mean, you can't change your health unless you are aware of all the issues that are going on, right? You have to be aware of the thoughts that are coming in and out of your head. I don't know if anybody has the like exact statistics for how many thoughts come in our head.
6,000. Oh.
What did you say?
I heard 60,000.
I heard 60,000, but I just read an article by.
Is it?
Well, I just read an article. This is so weird. I'll send it. I'll try to find it again.
like
Literally
to
in the
see
last
it,
couple of
yeah.
weeks, 6,000. I'm like, it just
No.
doesn't sound right. 60,000, but still,
That must be
imagine
for men.
having. Oh, hey, be nice. You've got some really great, powerful men in this room. But just even imagine. But just imagine even 6,000
Yeah.
thoughts a day that are
Yeah.
coming in. Most of those thoughts are on autopilot, all right? They're unconscious. And most of those thoughts are not real. They're not true. They're not fact. They're how we perceive what's going on around us, okay? So we're just checking in. What is the thought? If it's not real, what do you want to think? What results do you want to get from it? Okay, this is where okay. All right, hold on. I totally messed myself up.
You're doing
All right. So then the second part is to accept. So there are experiences, again, like I said, experiences that have brought you to this point. We need to accept those experiences as something that's happened. You know, all of the messages, the external messages that you've received from your parents, your friends, your teachers, accept them. They've happened. It's okay to accept them. You need to recognize you can't control them, and you can move on now, okay? So acceptance is really key here. And then the third and fourth things really kind of go together, but you want to honor these past experiences and stories. We can honor them. We don't have to erase them. We don't have to get rid of them to move forward. But you do want to honor them. Okay, it's happened, and place them to the side, okay? Like, you can keep them even if you want to look back on those stories. That's fine. But if you can honor those stories, recognizing they've happened, they're part of your experience, they don't have to be a part of your identity, but they can be a part of your experience, then you have the space, the opportunity to start looking at that story and saying, okay, how do I want to think about this, right? What do I want to say about it? If the message is, I can't close a deal, the new thought could be as simple as, I'm learning how to close deals. Every time I walk into a situation, I'm working on closing a deal. Such a different experience for your brain, right, going into it. Does that make sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. I have 1 minute. So good. I really tried to keep it to 8 minutes so I wouldn't go over. So, I mean, even in this moment, can you think about some of the things you tell yourself that hold you back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something, you don't have to share anything, is there something that you think, okay, this is something I could work on going forward? Yeah, yeah. All right, so you do have a handout there that I just put together, just some questions to walk you through the steps. I mean, if you want it to be about your business, make it about your business. But you can, one way, I'm gonna just stop it because it's gonna go off this one. Another way that you can check in with yourself to see if there's an area that you're not as happy with and that there's stories about, you don't have to just do these questions, but you can use, have you heard of like the life wheel?
Mm-hmm.
Where you look at different aspects of your life. It's a really great place to start. You can take that life wheel, fill in the most important places in your life, give yourself a score on, rate it on a scale of 0 to 100. How happy are you in these areas? If you are not happy in some of those areas, like say something is under 50%, I don't know, it's just lower than the other, more than likely, there are some stories that are obstacles to you getting higher in that area. So it's just a visual way to look at it as well, in place of questions.
Nice.
How's that? So anyways,